Question I've gotten: do I actually see and hear Hecate? Hello witches, I'm answering questions I've gotten on videos about Hecate. So if you're on, or you can check out the playlist this is part of to see other Q&A. Honestly, I could talk about this for hours, but the short answer is that no, I don't see her through my physical eyes or hear her as a voice in my head. When I see her, it's in my mind's eye, and when I hear her, it's like my own inner monologue. I've had a handful of experiences where I was absolutely sure that it was her, but most of the time I need to either be in a trance or I need a lot of time to reflect and pray on whether the information I've received is from her or not. One of the ways I can tell it's her and not me is that what I experience isn't what I expected. Once I tried to imagine her as standing in front of me, but instead of being slightly taller than the human height, as per usual, she towered over me like a giant. I was also working with her during a trance once and saw octopus tentacles burst out of the ground all around me. I had to go searching through my literature before I was convinced it was even her and not just something I imagined. She is associated with the depths of the ocean, and given the context of the working, it finally made sense. I believe that as witches, we need to be careful with our gifts and experiences. We walk the lonely road with both healthy confidence and healthy skepticism. If we fall into the trap of believing that we've arrived or have evolved into something beyond human, we're gonna fuck up our own lives and probably the lives of the people we touch. Do not get me started on this 5D bullshit going around social media. However, if we can't trust our own experiences, we'll spin in circles forever. The good news is that Hecate is goddess of liminal spaces, which is exactly what I just described. So working with her inherently brings us into the overlap of worlds. No matter what we see and hear, if we are behaving ethically, we'll take responsibility for what we do. I can be fully convinced that Hecate told me to do something, but I am still accountable for how I behave. Hecate or another member of our spirit team might say, go do this, but it's still up to me as owner and operator of this body to decide if I should or not. If Hecate asks you to do something you're not comfortable with, do not do it. I'm not talking about gently pushing you out of your comfort zone, but like weird ass shit that you're like, what? After you decide not to do it, then you can inquire into whether it was her or your subconscious or an imposter spirit. The mechanics of hearing from the spirit world is something I've always been interested in. I've been around the alternative spirituality community enough that I've heard people describing seeing, hearing, and feeling things they can't differentiate from physical sight, sound, or feeling. I believe most of the people who've told me this, and I believe that they are not mentally ill. However, if this is you, it should be top of your mind to rule out a mental illness. Context and discernment are important skills to develop as a witch, and you should always involve a doctor when appropriate. But I'm telling you, it is absolutely possible to experience things from the spirit realm that look just like our physical senses. Still, as I said, that's not me. I've been cultivating my ability to talk to spirits since I was an evangelical Christian 24 years ago. The Christ consciousness, which I connected to through the red letters of Jesus in the Bible, guided me out of Christianity. I go into that in a different video in the future, so my point here is that it takes a lot of practice. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but as a born-again Christian, I put myself into trance by reading the Bible, speaking mantras over and over, asking questions of Jesus, and then allowing my mind space to receive the answers. I do not personally have any special mediumship or psychic talents. I've cultivated my ability over decades. I really believe that anyone can do it. We all have the same apparatus, our body. Not all of us can make it to the NBA, but we all can play some form of basketball. It's the same with psychic skills. You can do it. It'll be bumbling and fumbling and awkward at first, but if you keep at it, like any other thing you practice, you can cultivate the skill. I recommend Matt Oren's book, Psychic Witch, if this is something you want to learn. Speaking with deities is just one of many psychic skills you can develop. I love Exercise 2 in Chapter 1 on page 19, Psychic Immersion. It's an exercise where you spend the day pretending that you are an all-knowing and always accurate psychic. It's important to not half-ass it. Really immerse yourself in the role just as a child would when playing make-believe with friends or alone to entertain themselves. Pretend you can see auras. What would those auras look like on different people? You don't have to actually know how to see auras yet. We're just pretending. So assign them a color based on how they're acting or who they are. The color doesn't need to match a list of aura color meanings. Make predictions throughout the day and don't get discouraged if they end up being wrong. Remember, this is just make-believe and you're make-believing that you're always right. Good book. It gives you permission to tap into your psychic ability and stop overanalyzing everything. If you have any questions about witchcraft or Hecate, feel free to put them into the comments. I don't know everything, but I will try to answer.